Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and for another Vita 2 video I have another try a chapter, but this time we're going to be doing a BookBox Battle Edition. So I have picked 8 books in total. I have picked 4 books from FairyLoot, 4 books from Illumicrate, 1 book from each box from 2020 to 2023, and I've put them on a wheel because I was thinking, well, I'll try a chapter of all 8 books. Then I realised that this video would go on forever. The video itself probably wouldn't, but the whole trying to read the start of 8 books might take some time. So we're going to aim for 4 and we're going to see how we get on from there. So let's get started. Let's see. First off, let me tell you what the books are, because why not? So for 2020, we'll do FairyLoot first, then we'll do Illumicrate. FairyLoot 2020, I've picked Master of One. 2021, I've picked Jade Fire Gold. 2022, I picked Blood Scion, I think that's how you say it, and 23 I picked 7 Faceless Saints. Then for Illumicrate from 2020 I picked 7 Devils, 21 I picked Iron Widow, 22 I picked The Red Scholar's Wake, and 23 I picked none other than Witch King. So I've tried to choose books, 1 that I've never even tried before and 2 that I am interested in, whether that be interested in actually trying to read or interested in unhauling. Later this month I will be doing an unhaul, so this is kind of trying to feed into that because I can't keep all of these books. But I've just told you what they are. I haven't shown you any of the covers, but I'll show you the covers obviously once we get to them. Let's pick our very first book. Oh, okay, so we've got 7 Faceless Saints. Let me grab it. So this is the cover of 7 Faceless Saints. I did actually pre-order a what they called a paperback edition of this because I'd seen it on someone's channel. I think it was a Frolic Through It Fictions channel, and I really wanted to read it, and then we got it in a FairyLoot box, so I thought, well, I'll return that one and I'll keep the special edition. Obviously I haven't read these books yet, so I don't know what's happening or who is what. So let's try the first chapter and see if I get any idea. Okay, so this one was very short and sweet to read the first chapter. It didn't have a prologue, so I don't really want to read more than the first chapter because the whole point of this is to try a chapter, not multiple chapters. So this book is actually following 2 perspectives. One is someone called Roz, and she will do anything to tear down the corrupt system of Ambrosia to get justice for her father, who was murdered by the military, including infiltrating the Palazzo to spy for the rebellion whilst training as a disciple of the Saint of Patience. And then the other perspective will be Damien, who is the youngest captain in the history of the Palazzo security and expected to be ruthless and strong and to serve the Saints with unquestioning devotion, but he's scarred by his experience on the front line, striving to please his brutal and detached father, and the thing he fears most is facing Roz, who he left behind when he went to war, so they're obviously going to collide in some way. And then the bottom bit just says about when a disciple is murdered, Roz and Damien have to team up. So the first chapter of this book is actually the murder. It doesn't seem like anything untoward is really happening, but obviously it's going to be a murder, so we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm guessing it's going to be like an enemies to lovers, but I'm kind of okay with that if it's not all up in your face, oh my gosh I love you, oh my gosh you're so hot. I don't do well with those sorts of romances, but I'm actually really intrigued in the mystery element of this book. I'm not too sure how much that is going to obviously infiltrate the whole story. That's a really good word, well done me. And I feel like from the first chapter of this is definitely like an autumnal book. So do I hold on to this until autumn? I don't know, because I'm trying to put together a list of fall, if you're American, autumnal cozy books for me to start looking at reading over, like, after my birthday. So once I come back from my like 12 days away, not for holiday, for work, and then going into October, November time. So maybe this one will make that list. Okay, I am intrigued by that. That one can definitely stay. I want to read that. Next, let's see what we get for our second book. Again, the dogs are just going crazy. What is going to happen next? Oh. Okay, Seven Devils. So this is an Illumicrate pick, and that is from 2020. Let's get it. So this is actually one of the very first books I would have gotten, I think. Well, within the first year of me getting Illumicrate, because I started with the January box. This is a sci-fi. It's written by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb. So it's, oh gosh, it's got 2 authors. Look at this signed book plate. It's massive. And it's the colours of that purple is starting to bleed. Oh well. Not anywhere, just... So what is this about? Doesn't look like the chapters are very long in this either. So let's try this out and see how we feel after the first chapter. And another really short one, which I'm not complaining about. So the very first chapter of this is following Eris. Now, I know a lot about this person from the blurb, not from the book. So we'll do the chapter first. The chapter follows Eris as she is essentially infiltrating a ship and killing everyone in sight. It starts with her killing someone and wondering whether she could have saved them. So it kind of gives the impression that she does this a lot. This is her new living. This is what she does to survive, which kind of makes sense, you know. And then it goes on to having basically a phone call in her head, getting her to report back to HQ. We then kind of get the idea that she is a rebel, she is fighting against someone, and she goes to take over the captain's quarters, and this AI thing kicks in the captain, which is strange. I'm baffled by it, so I'm really intrigued to find out what that means. But apparently there's this chip that is implanted in all of these Thelosians, I think is how it's pronounced, from birth, and essentially it seems as though the minute you're in danger, or you are in imminent danger, you then get taken over by this AI of some kind, and it then fights for... I don't think it's fighting for their lives, because the captain was very far gone, and it ended up slitting the captain's throat, obviously using his hand because it's in his body. From the blurb, we know that Eris is a princess of Discordia, which is quite funny, just to me personally. We find out that she is a princess and she has faked her own death. This is not mentioned at all in the first chapter. It's in the blurb though, so it's not a spoiler. And the rest of the book talks about how she has to partner up with an old friend called Cleo, who is a pilot. Is she a resistance pilot? Yeah, a resistance fighter pilot. And she is given the task to infiltrate an Empire spaceship ferrying deadly cargo to gain vital intelligence. And her and Eris have to team up to get this information. I'm interested. This one can stay, actually. I think it's going more on a maybe pile. Like, I'm not intrigued. If this is still on my shelf in a year and I haven't read it, it's gotta go. Because I think that would mean that I'm just not going to read it. And the amount of books that I'm bringing in, guys, like, I need to work on this. Right. Book number 3. What are we going to get? So we've had a 23 and a 2020, so both ends of the spectrum. Oh, Master of One. Okay, so Master of One is the Fairyloot 2020 book that I put on this list. Let's go get it. This was wedged in on that shelf a little bit too tight. Master of One. It's very shiny, it's very sparkly. I don't know if the camera, there you go, the camera kind of picks it up. It's got sparkly edges, and I think, yeah, these are the ones that come off on your hands, which we love. This is following, from what I remember, a ragtag group of people. It's like a group of... There you go. Fey Prince, Queen's Guard deserter, daughter of a disgraced noble family, deceptively sweet-natured prince, a member of the underground resistance, and him Rags. And he is a 2-bit thief. Let's read the first chapter and see what we think. I think we found one for the unhaul pile, unfortunately. I read the prologue and the first chapter. I have no interest in this. I thought I would, but it is very much a YA book, and I am starting to slowly move away from YA. It's a shame because I would really like to have read this because it's been sat on my shelf for 3 years almost, but I think this one's gonna go. I'll tell you what it's about. So in the prologue we are watching this person called Tommen, who the Queen's Guard appear at his house in the middle of the night and they say they're going to take him and basically end up killing everyone but him in search of something. He's found out something, he knows where something is, they bring a sorcerer in to torture him. He says he's not going to give up the secret, whatever the secret may be. The next chapter we're following Rags, who I mentioned earlier. He's a thief, he's in a cell, I don't really care why. That's a shame, but at least there'll be a gap on my shelf now. Right, this is meant to be the last one. And I'm not sure if it will be, so we'll just see how this goes. I think this is the last one though. Jade Firegold, and as you saw, I think that was a like on one of my tweets. It was. Amazing. Right, let's get Jade Firegold. This is the FairyLoot 2021 book. And let's see what we think. So this is the cover. It is very pretty. We've got a sword on the edge. I don't know if this is a series or what. But it's in an empire on the brink of war. So let's try the first chapter and see what we think. So that was actually the longest chapter in all 4 books. So Jade Firegold, we have 2 perspectives. Right at the start of the book there is a prologue where we don't know who the boy is, but we basically learn that his whole family is killed. Him and his mother and his sister run away and they are hiding, but soldiers still come for them, and unfortunately they are killed, but somehow he survives. We then go into the first chapter and we are following a character called Arn, who is in an apothecary right at the very start of the chapter trying to get medicine for her sick grandmother. And I think this chapter does a really good job in setting up the first... I think this chapter does a really good job in setting up the whole world. I feel like I know quite a lot about it without it being info dumpy. I feel like there was no preachiness, and we got to learn about Arn as a character as well, what she has to offer, what she is holding in her heart, all of these things. I don't want to say too much actually because there's a little bit at the end that is kind of, I don't know, it's probably not a surprise, but it is anyways. Within this first chapter we meet Arn and we meet her friend Li Gao, I think. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering these names. And they have gone to the well after Arn has stolen some food. We learn that she has lost her job and she's lying to her grandmother to say that she is still working there and her money is starting to run out, so she is stealing food to take back to her grandmother to ensure that they are still able to eat. When she bumps into her friend, they go to the well to try and get some water, and there is a woman there that basically grabs onto Arn's leg and makes her scream, and we learn that this woman has a character on her head that means traitor. She has lost her leg and her tongue has been cut out, and apparently this is what happens when you are found to be harbouring someone who is known as a magic user. And Li Gao wastes no time, he is giving her water. We then learn that if one of these priests that do this to who they call traitors, if one of the priests find out, then they will suffer probably a similar fate as well. And I think that's really interesting. The next chapter is following a character called Alton, who I believe is the boy in the very first chapter who we watch lose his family, which is really sad. But this basically says Arn is no one with no past and no family. Alton is a lost heir, his future stolen away as a child. When they meet, Alton sees in Arn a path to reclaiming the throne. Arn sees a way to finally unlock her past and understand her lethal magical abilities. Okay, so I can tell you that. So we find out by the end of the first chapter that Arn actually has magic. She doesn't know how to use it, she doesn't know what to do with it, she just knows she has it. And she is very lucky that when she stumbled into the village, that the woman that she calls her grandmother actually took her in, because in one hand she held a ring and in the other hand she held a snowflake that wouldn't melt even in the hot weather, so it was clear that she had magic, and if anyone else had found her, then they would have either left her or taken her to these priests, and they would have been paid a reward, and she probably would have been killed or something. But they may have to pay a far deadlier price than either could ever imagine. Girls with Paper and Fire meets A Song of Race and Ruin in June at CL Tan's stunning debut, where ferocious action, shadowy intrigue, rich magic, and a captivating slow burn romance collide. I'm really intrigued to read about more of this world. Don't really care about the romance, I can already see who it's going to happen with. I'm really intrigued to find out more about the actual world itself. So there you go, I've read 4. I've been doing this for a little while now, so these challenges always prove to me like how slow a reader I actually am, which is sad, but it's one of them. So here we go, we have got 4 books that I can't pick up for some reason because I'm being silly. There you go, 4 books that we have tried, ranging from 2020 to 2023. The only year we didn't actually read anything from was 2022, and those choices were either the Bloodstone or the Red Scholar's Wake, so maybe I'll save them for another video and I'll try them at a later date. But that is everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, it supports me on my channel. Leave me a comment down below. Have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy them? Should I read them? Let me know. If you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me either a purple or a yellow emoji for Illumicrate and Fairy Loot. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ring that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I'm uploading every single day in the month of August, so make sure you come back tomorrow for another video. It's going to be a fun one, I'm sure. I don't know as of this moment what it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be fun. So I will see you tomorrow for another video. Have an amazing day. Bye.